Good evening, members, officers. I assume, as there's nobody in the gallery, I have looked over there, and there are no informal questions. In that case, we need to move on to appoint the chairman, which we should have sat down there, but we didn't, so we're not going to.
Apologies, Leader. Can we confirm Councillor Knowles as chairman for the municipal year and Councillor Band as vice chairman? Thank you, members.
Thank you very much. And as we say, there are no informal questions. The minutes of the meeting, of the special meeting held on the 24th of April, have been laid on the table for half an hour. Are they agreed? Apologies for absence, please.
I'm just Councillor Brian Adams, Leader.
Yes, he's abroad on holiday. Probably cooler than here. Any disclosure if it's of interest, please?
Two received, Leader, from Councillor Stephen O'Grady and Julia Potts, a general declaration really, but also relating to the question about East Street, and that's a personal interest as members of Farnham Town Council.
Thank you. Questions item number 7. There is a question from Mr. Savage of Farnham, but he's not here. Would you just like to answer? We're not reading it out, thank you.
I will answer, yes. If he had been here, I would have wished him good evening and asked him maybe whether he was asking on a personal or in his Labour Party capacity, but he's not here, so I can't ask that. In response, it was overwhelmingly agreed at the extraordinary full meeting of this Council on the 8th of May 2012 that compulsory purchase powers would be used. I am pleased to confirm that a compulsory purchase order has now been made, and notices of the order have been posted in and around the site, and a notice will also appear in the Farnham Herald on Thursday, the 31st of May 2012. This compulsory purchase order is part of the next part of the process of acquiring land within the development site that Waverley does not own, and acquiring various rights over other land needed to enable the development to proceed. Therefore, there is no question whatsoever of the Council ending the contract within the next 6 months.
Thank you very, very much, and we'll be very pleased to see that the CPO was issued yesterday, nicely sealed, and notices have gone up in Farnham today, and it will appear in the local newspaper, name of which escapes me for the moment, but that will be in there next week, or the end of this week, as it were. Thank you very much. 8 is the Executive Forward Programme. I think I just need to make a point before we proceed to any amendments or any comment on this, that column 2 is earliest anticipated date in many of these things. Because of government actions, some things, for instance, under my name, the Localism Act, the Code of Conduct says July. I was at a meeting with the Secretary of State on Thursday when he said, oh dear, we're having trouble with the standards, we'll get it as quick as we can, and I got the impression that meant October. So we are hamstrung by government guidance on many of these things, so please remember that when it says earliest date, that's what it means. It doesn't necessarily mean it will come on that occasion. Mrs. James.
Thank you, Leader. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to refer, if you don't mind, to page 10, an item, the broadband in the community. Tonight will see my 4th request to the Executive to ensure that Waverley councillors are fully updated on this matter. To date, I've received nothing, and that leads me to consider that quite possibly, and in quotes, nothing is happening, close quotes, or more likely that no one wants to acknowledge that the overall objectives and timeframes are way behind schedule, and that, quite frankly, the activities of BT and its agent are at best shambolic and incoherent, my words. The Ewhurst community can testify to that. Not only was our CEDA grant withheld, but we've also experienced the missing of the end of March implementation date, and we don't look as though we're going to make June. But why I'm bringing this back to you, apart from the request to say, please, can Waverley councillors have an update, is I really do think Waverley needs to take the initiative and shout a lot harder and louder on this. Because if there's one aspect I keep picking up is that other councils within Surrey seem to be making a lot more headway in terms of implementing superfast broadband, and we're just not on the radar. And instead, we're getting a second-rate service. And I really do think, and I would ask, if the executive would take this forward and do something ASAP. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. I'll ask the portfolio holder for IT, although you must realise that this is not a Waverley project. This is a Surrey County Council, and we can only make representations, but I'll ask the portfolio holder to comment.
Thank you, Leader. Yes. Where do we start? First of all, it's probably worth bearing in mind at the outset that Waverley is one of only 2 rural boroughs in Surrey. There are 11 overall, and we're one of the 2 rural ones, which does have an enormous impact when it comes to superfast broadband, indeed any comms provision. I am in regular communication with the team at County Hall who are doing this, and they assure me they are nicely on target. They are coming towards the best and final offer stage in the bid for the superfast broadband, which is ongoing. It's not merely a matter for BT. But at the same time, and in the national dimension, there is a degree of thinking going on around this at the moment, because rushing to put in cabinets in every village, in every town, and every street is simply one way of cracking the nut. There are many others, and particularly now that 4G is starting to come into existence, the first 4G licence has been applied for, it will overtake in capacity very rapidly any fixed line provision. And incidentally will be much, much more easily adaptable in the rural communities, because you won't actually have to build any infrastructure beyond which is already been put in to replace the existing mobile network. So whilst the superfast broadband, as currently envisaged by government, and bear in mind it did get rolled back from, originally they were talking about superfast broadband to every premise or every home and business, now they're talking about every street, which is a rather different matter. That is being delivered by the Surrey project, and that appears to be on time. And I must be honest, because I wasn't aware of the question, I can't remember the exact dates, but I can get them for you. But because of other things going on, it's entirely possible this will all be overtaken anyway, and therefore any huge investment at this stage may well prove to have been wasted money in about a year's time. I'm not saying we therefore sit and wait, but we do need to be very careful where we go. But as has been pointed out, this is a Surrey matter which we have a watching brief on rather than one of our own.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, any other amendments to the rolling programme? No, thank you. Stephen.
Yeah, me again. Very minor one, strategic review of IT. I think previously we had down as ongoing, and it is pretty much because it's delivering a number of different things over time. Perhaps we could put it more granularly in future, but really it's a rolling programme.
Thank you. I'm sure we can make that ongoing. Anyone else, please? Thank you.